Good evening, ComNet TV viewers, wherever you are watching us from. I am your pastor, Pastor Moses Chiluba, and before I introduce my guest, I want to thank God for my wife, Pastor Victoria Chiluba. Hello, my dear. I know she's watching, but today is a special day. On this day, my wife and I tied knots 35 years ago as husband and wife. And of course, we've gone through challenges, we've gone through happy moments, difficult moments, but through it all, I want you to know that she's the best wife God can give. Differences do not in any way mean that the person or I am a bad person or she's a bad person. And to all couples that are listening to this broadcast, you must soldier on and stick to your wife, stick to your husband. I'm very grateful for Pastor Victoria Chiluba, who has been a blessing to my family. She's a mother of 5 and a grandmother of 5 and more to come. Pastor Victoria, God bless you. And on this same day, on the 12th of April, 3 years after we tied knots, our second born came in this world, Mrs. Nyerongo. We are so grateful. May the Lord bless you. And I'm so grateful to the family that God has given us. Coming back to this National Matters edition. Last week, I introduced to this nation and the world Professor Michael Dynamite Munkumba. And he's such a blessing, not only to my wife and I and to the church, but to the whole world. Why do I say to the whole world? Professor Munkumba has been sleeping more on the plane than in the hotel and on the ground, because of the nature of his job, lecturing from one university to another, government officials to this. He is a man that God has blessed. Professor Munkumba, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, viewers.
How is your wife and family?
My wife is watching right now, I'm sure, and she's pretty well. My children are also watching, and they are all blessed.
Amen.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful to have you here. And by the way, those of you who always see Pastor Chiluba in a Chitenge material and what the professor is wearing, the wife was awarded as the top designer in Kenya when they were living in Kenya.
Yes.
But she has since relocated with a family. They are here. And the latecomer is Professor Munkumba, who just relocated
this year
from his duties this year. But he had been in and out of Zambia. So if you want the Chitenge material, you want the fabric to be done professionally, you must contact ComNet TV. We are not going to give you her number. We'll give you and put you through in contact. Just in case you missed last week when I had Professor Munkumba, I want to say that Professor Munkumba is one of the people that has given the brains to go beyond what most of us have done. In the world of academics, he has 6 degrees. Masters, PhDs, you name it, and is doing the 7th and the 8th at the same time, going to the 8th degree. And if you want, I always say this, when you talk about a grade 12 certificate for a qualification, it's a good one. But Zambia must cast the net wide to look at people in different spheres of life. People like Professor Munkumba, Professor Musonda in America, Professor Maskini in Canada, and many more people. If we bring these people together, Zambia will not only succeed, but we'll have professional people. And may God richly bless you. Professor, once again, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Pastor.
We are discussing entrepreneurship. Correct me. Is it intra or entrepreneurship? What is the correct word?
There are two pronunciations. One is British, the other is American. I think entrepreneurship is American. Entrepreneurship is British. So the Zamlish one...
It sounds like French.
Entrepreneurship is okay.
Yeah.
The way we pronounce it here is we're more inclined to the British. So it's okay, entrepreneurship. I shall open up where the word comes from so we get the root.
Define for me, what is entrepreneurship? Because when the word comes up,
yes,
it sounds like anybody on the market.
Correct.
Anybody making hose, selling charcoal, whatever. What is entrepreneurship?
Thank you, Pastor. Because this is a subject that is skill-based, and it's a specialist area in terms of learning. So maybe allow me to say one or two preliminaries.
Please go ahead.
Yes, to set the stage, and then we can delve into the subject. And for the sake of those just joining us for the first time, and as you mentioned, Pastor, they were not here last week, so they never watched me. I just have two things to share or to say. First, one, I was personally born into a peasant family. So if you talk about entrepreneurship, perhaps it starts all the way there. My parents were peasants, very low education, hardly really, but they could read and write. But they were excellent, and they taught me well in our way of living, in our culture. And so they formed my character pretty well. So the first milestone was being born in that peasant family in Chifu Mungole, in a village named after my grandfather, Munkumba. First.
So you grew up in Mongole?
Absolutely.
And nothing like Sunningdale, Kablonga?
No way.
Yeah.
Village, taking care of cattle in the bush way before I started school. That's where I started. The first. The second one was at the sprightly old age of 14 at Mukushi Secondary School. Pastor Jim Ford came from Kabwe Chapel and preached there at the school. He held a crusade. He
was my pastor.
Imagine, wow, isn't that great? Now that man is great in my life because he preached and he made an altar call, and of the 1,000 students, I was one of probably 5 who responded to the altar call, went to the front, and I consciously gave my life to Jesus Christ.
At the age of 14?
1975. I gave my life to the Lord. So that was the second milestone. So nothing very sophisticated at all. Born in a peasant family, then born again into the eternal family 14 years later. So this is me. When you know, you know. So you know this is where I'm coming from.
That's right.
All right. Now we are discussing entrepreneurship on national matters, and that is because we are thinking national development. And I like to talk about journey to self-reliance.
Actually, when you talk about this subject, Professor, as the title is National Matters.
Correct.
My wife and I believe that Zambia can be changed by Zambians.
Absolutely.
This is what I believe.
Yes.
You should correct me whether I'm wrong.
Nope.
I just believe that us Zambians, born here in Mungule, Chinsali, wherever you are, we can change this nation.
I absolutely agree. And the subject itself is so important that, Pastor, as we were talking before the program, we will need to design a series, and we choose perhaps another day when we can go step by step and perhaps take area by area. Maybe we talk about marketing, we talk about recruitment, we talk about customer care, we talk about quality management, and we can be covering them either in twos or sometimes if it's big, just one. So those who want to write and take notes can really write and get educated. I want to call that a mini master class.
Because, Professor, of the schedule and the tight programs that CAMNET has and bringing up that.
Yes.
But let me tell you something.
Correct.
We'll just have to design classes or seminars.
Correct.
Where you come and teach.
Yes.
And all the Zambians that were born for greatness and they have it within themselves.
Correct.
They cannot avoid this.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first, and so first about me, the second generally about entrepreneurship. Third, there is a subject called the cone of learning, C-O-N-E. So it's like a pyramid. The cone of learning by a guy called Edgar Dell. And he talks about how can you remember things. How much do you remember depending on either you were writing, you were listening, you were participating, or you watched a demonstration and you were part of it. So I just go through this quickly just to tell the viewers why it's important sometimes to note down things than just listening. He says, if you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything in 2 weeks' time. It's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. 10%. If you watch, like now they are watching us, audiovisual, they are listening and watching, you may remember up to 20% by 2 weeks' time. If you watch a demonstration, 30%. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. If you practice what you have heard, like now we are speaking,
and we start practicing,
you practice 75% retention of the knowledge you have heard. And if you teach others what you have heard, up to 90% remains yours. It's called the cone of learning. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it. If you keep it to yourself, you lose it.
You lose it, yeah.
Kind of like a candlelight. If a candlelight in a dark room lights other candles, the first candlelight does not lose its light.
No.
But the room is brighter because there are more candles now lighting. So as we share, it's my encouragement that as you listen, you write down and then talk to others about it. Then it is really your knowledge. All right? The fourth one I want to talk about is the subconscious mind. As we are going to be sharing, your mind has a lot of stuff that you have already stored over your lifetime. And what happens is as you are listening, there's an argument going on within your mind. Now, this is where we talk about unlearning in order to learn.
Unlearning.
In order to learn. So you have to get rid of, if you want to fill a cup that already is full of things, the rest, it will just spill over.
Yeah.
So you got to empty your cup and then put in new stuff. So the subconscious mind is so powerful, and it determines your behavior and your actions. And when you say, I am poor, you're actually speaking to your subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind cannot debate whether you are right or wrong. It just acts on what it hears.
Really?
And fulfills what you tell it. Which is why later we'll talk about setting goals.
Repeat that, Professor, because now I'm hearing you speak.
Yes.
And as a pastor, my mind is going to the Bible to say, if you have thought about foolish things, don't say it. Put your hand on the mouth. Don't say it.
Yes, yes. Pastor, that is so powerful. You know, scripture is from God. So the things we learn in psychology, you find scripture already talked about it. Yeah, you just realize this is what the Bible says. The subconscious mind is like your internal GPS. You know, the GPS, the global positioning system, is predicated or is designed on the human mind. They just use what the human mind works like. If you want to drive from here, Pastor, to Mukushi farm block, and you want to use the GPS, you have to give it the where you are going, the destination. Now it can tell where you are, so you give it exactly where you're going, then it works out the different routes and tells you the right route to go there. The subconscious mind works like that. When you give it information, it calculates how to take you there. So if you say I'm poor, it will do all it can to make sure that that poverty is realized.
I'm telling.
But if you tell it things that are positive,
I was born for greatness.
Exactly.
My goodness.
What happens after you tell your mind that I was born for greatness? Then and yet you are not yet great in reality.
That's right.
Then what arises in your mind is called structural tension. Meaning the subconscious mind realizes that you are supposed to be great, but you are not. So it begins to calculate a path to take you to that greatness. So you wake up in the middle of the night and a bright idea comes and you wonder, where is it coming from? Your subconscious mind is working. Calculating on creative ideas to take you to that journey you've been describing all the time, talking to it. Which is why, Pastor, if you tell yourself just before you go to sleep, and you say, I must wake up at 5 a.m., and then you sleep, 1 minute to 5 a.m., your eyes will pop open, no matter what. Subconscious mind. So it's a powerful thing. So I'm saying this so that the viewers know that as we are going to be speaking, they have a subconscious mind that has already been written over by a lot of people, some of which are wrong messages. Jehovah. And we have to take an eraser sometimes, erase those things, so we can write new things to move us to greatness, to move us to prosperity, to move us from saying aba ni bazungu, as though there are no poor bazungus, but to the fact that if we ourselves can take us to a similar situation as those people we admire.
Can I hold your thoughts at the moment?
Yes,
you see, we are here to bless the nation.
Absolutely.
Professor, there is a scripture in Ecclesiastes, chapter 9, verse 11.
Correct.
Now, I know you are going to... this is the scripture.
Yes.
I have seen something else under the sun. The race is not to the swift, or the battle to the strong, nor does food come to the wise, nor wealth to the brilliant, or favor to the learned. But time and chance happen to them all.
You know, Pastor, I could speak for an entire day on that verse, but from my side.
Yeah, it's from your side, because let me tell you,
it's amazing.
Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen,
Yes.
Professor Munkumba is not just a professor who sits in university lecture rooms giving MBA lessons and all this. I was so blessed that when we visited the family in Kenya some time back, when was that?
I think it could be 94?
1994, when we came to visit you.
Correct.
Each time we went to their church, as a professor, he was the first person to be in the church, sweeping and everything. But apart from that, they called him Pastor Munkumba, not professor. And this is the legacy that he carries on the other side because of his love for God. I just wanted to put the people into the know so that when you say I can teach from your side, that they should understand that it's not from my side.
Correct.
Talk about that, because the subconscious that you have brought, my mind just went there thinking that no one is down in this world. I don't know what you think.
I love what the scripture says at the end, where it says chance.
Time and chance
happen to all. There's a word in Greek called kairos. Kairos, K-A-R-O-S. And it's in English it would be an opportune moment, or a moment of opportunity. And these opportunities are the type that when it passes, it never comes back. Yes, when you miss it, that one is gone. When you get another one, it's a different one, it's a new one.
Really?
And we conclude, I can give you 1,000 examples, but we conclude that if you miss all those opportunities, you are really missing your life. So, but if you are observant and you're expectant, you will see them. And so we can use big names like Bill Gates and say, how did that gentleman leave second year of Harvard degree without finishing it in order to go and start his Microsoft? That was a kairos moment. He decided to seize it. Now I'm sure he looked very silly. How can you abandon a lucrative Harvard degree, so expensive? What would the parents think of you to go and start something that nobody knows what it is in some garage somewhere. But hey, the rest is history. So there are many people who have done that. Those are guys who are looking for an opportunity. And when you look for it, you seize it. You will find it. And when you find it, seize it. So that's a Kairos. It says it happens to everyone. Educated, not educated. Opportunities come to all.
Villager or town
person. And this is why sometimes people with far less education, even they have made it. And some of us maybe with a lot of education, and we're just average. Because the same opportunities come to all of us. It matters who is looking for the opportunity and can seize it. And when we zero in on entrepreneurship, it's all about looking for those opportunities. And I would say it could be a problem in society, or people complaining about something, but yet that's an opportunity. Now, someone sees a problem, if you're an entrepreneur, you see an opportunity. And you seize it, solve a problem, and find money follows you. You didn't even go out to make money. You went out to solve a problem. But money came. What happened? There was an opportunity that everybody saw as a problem to complain about. You saw it as an opportunity to solve something, and the money followed.
Professor,
yes,
may the Lord bless you.
Yes.
Let me chip in what you have said.
Correct.
I'm sitting there with my wife, I think, before we went in the office of the Prime Minister of Antigua.
Yes.
I'm sitting there, and I saw this magazine about this man in the UK. What's his name? The owner of Virgin Island? Virgin...
yes, the Virgin Atlantic.
Virgin Atlantic.
Branson.
Richard Branson.
Yes.
How he started that.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes.
I pick up this magazine. I just read, while we are waiting to go in the office of the head of state,
yes,
I just read about three quarters, and I was fascinated. I said, Madam, can I pick this magazine? She said, sure. But how this gentleman became rich, he flew to West Indies. And when they were to go to another island, there was a storm. And they were marooned at one island. And more tourists were coming.
Correct.
So he picks up the phone. While everyone was complaining, he picks up the phone and he says, how much is it to charter a plane? They gave him the bill. When he calculated the passengers, he found that it was a quarter of what?
So he could do charge them?
He chartered the plane.
Yes.
Charged all the passengers. He picked this, took them there, took them there. He kept that plane. The rest is history. That's how Virgin
Atlantic.
So you see, in every problem,
people were complaining.
Yes.
He saw a kairos and he seized it.
Oh, Jehovah. Oh.
The fifth thing I want to mention, Pastor, preliminary,
yes,
is that if you are going to be an entrepreneur, now I know many people have gone into business for different reasons. I think in our part of the world, many of them is because they can't help it. They've lost a job, they've lost a breadwinner, they've been retired suddenly, retrenched, and so they go into business. Fine, I accept that. But if someone is watching and they are like, I want to do business and they want to start, what I would tell them is open your mind first. And some will see the world, others will see Africa, others will see the region, but the majority, I think I would say, see Zambia. Open your mind to the whole of Zambia and see Zambia as the entire canvas on which you must paint your life. Let me put it this way. You can close your eyes and see the entire map of Zambia and say, this is my area of operation. Why that is important is, you may be making circles in Lusaka struggling, when actually an idea you have could work better in Mwinilunga or Senanga or Lundazi. But because your mind, for you, business means Lusaka. Then you are here struggling with 1 million others doing exactly the same thing, and you're just working hard, and working hard is not everything. It's working smart. So work hard, but work smart. So open your mind, see the whole country, and then be ready to go anywhere where it might work for you. If it will work in Lusaka, be here. If it is on the Copper Belt, go there. If it is somewhere in some rural area, go there. So keep your mind open, because you are a Zambian. The entire Zambia is your place of operation. Now, if you have a bigger mind, you might look at SADC, or you might look at Africa, or we might look at the world. But for the majority, Zambia alone is big, more than big enough. And I think the majority of our people, they have a localized mindset.
And
if they're in
Lusaka
Kanyama, even Kanyama, that's the only place. If they're in Mtendere, it's just Mtendere. They can't see anything beyond that. That goodness. Also is a mind of poverty. Yes. Zambia is ours. So you can go to Chipata, look around. I had a friend in Kenya. He wanted, during the Manawasa time, he just got on a plane, came to Zambia. Got on a bus, went to Livingstone, came back to Lusaka, went to Mwinilunga. Then he came back to Kenya, Nairobi, and said, my goodness, your country. I can't believe you people are here. Doing what? The opportunities there, the friendliness of the people. He said he couldn't believe what he saw. He was a foreigner. He just hit Lusaka and reached Livingstone and reached Mwinilunga. How many Zambians have been born here? They are 50 years old. They've never been outside of some places. Perhaps they're just in Lusaka. They don't even know Mazabuka.
Not even Kafio.
They don't know Kafio or Kapinimposhi. How can you have a mind like an entrepreneur's mind is opened? The very least, Zambia. And if you are smarter than that, know about Botswana, about Namibia. And some people go to Namibia. Just get on a bus one day. You'll be shocked what happens to your mind just going out of the country, going out of your environs, going away. Even Abraham passed. God had to tell him, leave your people.
Your people.
Go somewhere else, and the man prospered and became a father of nations. Not in his village.
You know, Professor.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware that the Chinese are getting into Kaputa? They are getting into Shangombo. They are getting land.
Yes.
And Zambians, a Lusaka resident, doesn't even want to go to Mukushi to get land.
And it's too far.
And it's too far. Somebody has traveled from Benjin to go and get a land in Kaputa. To go and get land in Kaputa.
Yes.
Chinsali.
Yes. That is a beautiful place.
I received phone calls from two of the chiefs.
Yes.
They said, Pastor, we've been watching Camnet TV.
Yes.
Here we are invaded by the Chinese.
Yes.
They want land like sweets.
Yes. Yes.
And yet, Zambians,
yes.
When my wife and I talk about land,
yes.
Please get land, they don't see it.
Exactly.
Most of them.
Exactly.
They say it's too far.
Which is sad. I drove through Chinsali, I drove through Kasama in January. The land is beautiful. And the same sand loams as in Chongwe. The same. Masuku, same trees. Just that there's a lot of deforestation now, which is another opportunity. Opportunity of planting forests.
I'm telling you.
Which can make firewood, which can make furniture. That's an opportunity. You can complain that the trees are being cut, but actually that's an opportunity to plant now commercial trees.
You've gone too fast,
yes,
too good.
I know.
These are two good things and you are too fast for us. Okay. Who is an entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I'm coming.
An entrepreneur?
Thank you, Pastor.
The things that you are offloading already, I feel like we should go for 4 hours.
Here's what we'll do.
Yeah.
I hinted that we will need a mini masterclass, and in that mini masterclass, I'll cover 3 areas. Ideas and opportunities is one, and there will be a lot of subtopics. Ideas and opportunities. The second one, building a business. What does that mean? What does it take? And the final one will be financing a business. How to use what is called OPM, other people's money, OPB, other people's brains, and so on and so forth. Those 3 sections should cover the entire subject, but that's for the future, for the mini masterclass in entrepreneurship.
We'll get there.
Yes.
We'll get
but for today, I'm going to give that definition of an entrepreneur, but first of all, I wanted to raise the appetite by just giving a few statistics. Is that okay, Pastor?
You have already raised it. We are ready to eat, but go ahead.
This one is good.
Go ahead.
Here is it.
Yeah.
Singapore, a first world country that has developed within the last 45 years, 24 of the top companies are family owned.
24.
Plus 2 trusts, they are family owned. In total, about 42 companies, so 24 are local companies, plus another 18 foreign ones, and a total of 10 trusts. They are capitalized at $218 billion. They are all family owned. In fact, the top 10 companies, the last time I checked, were all family owned in the country. I'm saying this to show that actually families can set up businesses that become multinationals, and there's a reason why that is possible. That's one. India, the top companies like Tata Group, that's a family company.
I'm telling you.
Tata, I think everyone will, the majority of people will know Tata Company.
Tata Bus.
Yeah,
Tata
exactly.
Tata
There are others like TVS, Aditya, Kirloskar, Godrej, Shapoorji, Palonji, Reliance Group. All those are huge conglomerates, which means they're into oil, into cars, into all kinds of things, and they are all family owned. These are massive multinationals. So families can start something small which can become so huge, and there's a reason for that, because we are discussing entrepreneurship. The US has 5.5 million family-owned businesses. 5.5 million companies, family-owned. Okay? South Africa, what drives the economy are all family businesses. South Africa.
Really?
Kenya, 490 family-owned businesses, and they're a key driver to Kenya's economy. Why am I saying this? Because sometimes we look to big companies and we think that's where the economy lies. Actually, the economy lies with the small guys who start something, but our people need skills so that that something can grow and it does not die with them. But it's passed on to the next generation and the other generation, and it continues to grow. That's what has been mostly lacking. So most of our African people, when they die, their business dies. And it ought not to be that way. So the Jews, the Indians, they pass on, and it gets bigger and bigger. So skills pass on to the next generation with even more skills, and so on and so forth. So those statistics I thought I should speak. Having said that, now we can define entrepreneurship. Is that okay, Pastor?
Please go ahead.
Thank you.
I don't know what to say.
There are two words that define or that create the word entrepreneur. Or if you're British, entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur.
Yes.
Yeah.
So two words. And these are French words. The first word is called entre. Entre. Like E-N-T-R-E. Entre. And entre in French means to strike out. So you strike out, or to leave, or to dive in, like kind of like you are diving into a swimming pool. Now, I remember once we were on Lake Malawi, on the shores, and I was training people from different countries, and there was this Zambian young sister. She was such a good swimmer, so she swims into the lake, and then she lies on the water, like on a bed, floating, no movement. So one guy said, how come she's floating like that? Said, yeah. She said, you can also float. So you mean I can come there? She said, yes. So the guy dived in, but it was deep, So the guy sank like a rock. He had to be fished out somewhere under there. When he came out splattering, almost drowning, he said, but why is she floating and me? I sank like a rock. And he said, you were too tense. You were not relaxed.
Yeah.
Now what that guy did was he dived in. That's a picture of entre. He just dived in. Now, of course, he was reckless, but you shouldn't be that reckless. But that's a picture of taking a risk. That's entrepreneurship, okay? The second word is prendre. Prendre. In French, I think you say entre and then prendre. Now, to prendre means to grasp, to understand, or to capture something. So you grasp it. Now, we talked about opportunities. So you dive in and grasp something. This is entrepreneurship, right, Pastor? So, other words are to undertake something. So you get the word undertaker. It's coming actually from that root, okay? Adventurer. So you go on an adventure. So true entrepreneurship is an adventure. This is why before you really go out on the path of an entrepreneur, you need to sit back and think and reflect. And then when you start out, you don't want to go there out of desperation, without thought. These are the people who go in, and then they come out complaining, it doesn't work here, this place is very bad. They discourage everyone else. They actually did like that guy who dived into Lake Malawi without thinking. So there we will say water is very bad, never you swim, you see. But that lady was swimming there. She has practice. She knows how to float. All right. So entrepreneurship means I reflect. I look at a situation. Where are there gaps Where are there the most complaints? Because those are opportunities right there. Where is it people don't want to go? Like now, the people you're talking about, Pastor, they will come to Zambia and tomorrow they're in the bush.
Yes.
None of us want to go to the bush, but that's where the opportunities are. So they look, where are people not exploiting? Where are there complaints? Where are there gaps in services and products? The Zambian mind, and I'm going ahead of myself, is to see who is doing what so that I can imitate. Now that's a lack of originality, and that's unfortunate because you're literally putting your mind to sleep by simply copying. Now there's benchmarking, yes, but pure, if all of us are doing the same thing, the profits simply drop and we all begin to close down. But if you're going to look for gaps, it might be that it's the same thing, but there's a lack in the quality of service, and you go and fill a niche that covers that lack of quality.
Not just another channel.
Not just another channel.
Yeah.
And you fill a niche, and money will come. You just have to be original enough to take your time, study the situation. Don't go and duplicate. You're merely fighting for the same cake. Go and create something called blue ocean strategy. Now, blue ocean strategy has a picture of, I'm a shark. There are many sharks in this water. If I go there, we will fight and we'll all bleed, and the water will be red. So I look for a pool where there are no sharks. I'll be the only shark. So the water will remain blue, no blood. It's called the blue ocean. So I look for a place where others are not yet there. If they are there, they are not performing at a level I want to perform. So I become unique. Then I go there and start something. So I dive in. I take the risk still. I dive in and I grasp that opportunity. So entrepreneurship is about taking a risk for some gain of sorts. I take a risk for profit. I take a risk in order to gain something. There is a reward to every risk. Entrepreneurship is always a risk.
So this, Professor,
Yes, sir.
sounds to me like you don't have to beat your head that you've never been to university.
No.
When it comes to entrepreneurship.
No, I'll put it this way, Pastor. If someone has been to Form 5, actually the time we did Form 5, I would say if you are a Form 5, you are educated. Things have changed a bit now, so I would say if you have a degree, a diploma or a degree, you are educated enough. Yes. Anything else, even in jobs, they will tell you master's degree added advantage. Okay? It's an added advantage. Meaning if I have a diploma or an advanced diploma or a degree, I am educated. What I need now is learning. And learning might mean entrepreneurship. I look for other entrepreneurs. I find out. I read about them. I talk to them. I observe them. I am learning. And I can strike out. I don't need many degrees to be an entrepreneur. I just need basic education and then a lot of learning, which doesn't have to be in a classroom, except maybe for short courses. And now there are free webinars online, which you can attend and just listen, participate, and it's free, and it's online. I'm learning, and I'm practicing tomorrow in my business. That's it. So a diploma, a degree is an educated person. They just need to learn now. Yes.
You know why I'm asking? I've told this story when my son was playing golf.
Yes,
Michael.
Pastor. Yes, Pastor.
When he was 12 years, I flew with him to Namibia. It was the Zone 6, where South Africa, Zambia, Malawi, I think they come together, the boys.
Yes.
There is a junior one and the senior
The seniors, yes.
one. The junior one.
Yes.
They were competing in Botswana, and I flew with him there.
Yes.
Mr. Chinungi was the manager then.
Correct.
But there was this South African boy
Yes.
that I saw. In golf, I can go into details.
Correct.
But I can tell you he was just something.
Yes.
He shot the lowest round after going OB,
Yes.
but he still became the best golfer that day.
Wow.
We are resting somewhere. There was rain, and we are all waiting there. Then I said to him, his name is Brandon Grace.
Okay.
He's one of the top 50 now in the world.
Oof.
I go to him, I said, Brandon, after this, are you going to university? He says, Pastor Chilwa, to do what?
Yes.
I said, are you not going to learn? And he says, no, Pastor. God has given me a gift.
Correct.
My gift is golf.
What is that in your hands?
Yeah, my gift is golf.
Yes.
I'm going to work hard
Yes.
and employ graduates
Correct.
to work for me.
OPB, other people's brains.
Do you know that that boy is worth over $20 million as we speak?
My word.
He has won games, Brandon Grace, anybody who knows golf.
Yes.
And when I saw Michael, I said, Michael, stand next to him. I took a shot, and they are best of friends. I said, Michael, watch. Michael was 12. That boy was 14. Wow. I said, watch this boy.
Wow.
This boy was born for greatness like you.
Wow.
Can you imagine the boy is worth over $20 million through sponsorship?
Yes.
So,
yes. He saw an opportunity.
He saw an opportunity.
He grabbed it.
My goodness.
Yes. 3 things I'll hint here, Pastor. Actually 4. If you are going to be an entrepreneur, the 4 things you should consider. First of all, make up your mind. Do you want to start a small business and keep it small? Because there's some people who, they don't want the hassle of a big business. They just want a small business. It will take care of food, kids in school, and that's it. If that's what you want, make up your mind, all I want is a small business. You make that mind. 1. 2, do you want a scalable business, which means I will start small and scale it up until it's big. So I bring in other people later. Decide right from the start. Because this looks very straightforward, but people go into business and they really have no clue as to what kind of, the word is trajectory, or what kind of path do you want that business to follow over a certain period. So they just start working, hoping things will happen going forward. It doesn't work well that way. So decide, I want a small business, I don't want hassles, I will employ 2 people, that's it. Or I want to have a big business that later on I can retire and have a foundation and do what I love and the business continues. That's a decision you make. Or do you want to start a large business from day one? That's also possible. You can have a big idea, go and convince bankers to finance you, or if you're already employed, you can sometimes convince your employers to support you. I recall in the early 90s, when there was privatization, and sometimes you would see people, employees, a bunch of employees would break away from a company, but they talk to the management. They say, okay, we want to form a cleaning company that will clean the group of companies. So the management says, sure. They support them. They set up a company that already begins to clean all the companies in the group. So that cleaning company is already big from day one. So it's something you plan out. Is this what we want to do? You can also go, finally, the 4th one is social entrepreneurship. Social entrepreneurship means I go and solve a community problem. I impact a particular community, but there is profit in it as well. Now, the Dutch are very good at that, the rich Dutch people. And I recall one who came to Tanzania and he saw that the Maasai people take a lot of cattle, but they are far from any town. So their milk would go to waste before it would reach the market. So the guy went there and set up a dairy factory deep in the bush among the Maasais, using solar and everything. And then he planted trees. Because the Maasais also use firewood, so they were cutting the trees. So he planted the trees that were used to make commercial charcoal, which they would sell to the Maasais. Then the Maasais supplied milk to the company, and he processed the milk. So the community suddenly had so much income. He has impacted that community, but he's making money. That is called social entrepreneurship. It's a very satisfying business. And it's a model that one can go into. In a country like Zambia, a lot of opportunities for social entrepreneurship. So that's do you want to start a small business? Do you want to start one that starts small but grows big? Do you want to go straight for a big business? Or do you want to go for social entrepreneurship? So you can make up your mind, I think I'll go like this before you even start. If you're going to be systematic, your chances of success are higher than when you play like that guy who dived into the lake. Without thinking about it. Before you know it, we are fishing you like fish. Like
Simon Peter Master.
May I walk?
Can I walk on what? Jesus said, come.
Because like that guy who dived, for a while he splattered on top, then he sank. Just like Peter walked, then sank. But here's the good news for Peter. they walked back together with Jesus to the boat. You know that one is not mentioned.
No, it's not mentioned.
The man walked back.
Which is a miracle.
Yes. Powerful. Wonderful. What about the process? So, I want to be an entrepreneur, and I made up my mind I want to be a small or a big or a scalable, or I'm going into social entrepreneurship. Maybe I'm going to go to the village and I'm going to start a business there and impact the local community. In Zambia, we are talking about journey to self-reliance. And we know that poverty in rural areas has been so stubborn. It's been very difficult to break. I visit my home, I visit other villages, you can tell it's really hard. And it's been so hard to break that poverty. Much of it is really empowerment of the people. It's at a mindset, as I mentioned earlier. Not so much that someone should come and do something for them, give them fish, but how to teach them to fish. That's a big thing. So I can say I want to go to the village. To the village, start with one village and then scale it to many villages. And this is the model of business I want to employ there. So what is the process you must follow? That is something we should discuss now. What is the process? And I will say this, unless you have something to question, Pastor.
No, I just heard a story about how somebody came to Africa.
Correct.
You'd tell it better.
Yes.
You should know this, that somebody came to Africa from Europe.
Oh yes, about shoes. Yes.
And he discovered we didn't have
shoes.
Tell me that story. I think
there were two characters.
It's you who told me.
Yeah, there were two characters. No, you might have read it somewhere because it's used a lot in writings of missionaries also. So two characters. One comes, everyone is barefoot. The feet are practicing independence. A lot of oxygen, free aeration. they don't fellowship their toes. He said, this place, nobody uses shoes. It's impossible to sell shoes here. That was the end. The other guy came, looked, said, my goodness, no one has shoes. The opportunities here are unlimited. Send the shoes. So again, this is the glass is half empty versus the glass is half full syndrome. Both were looking at the same situation. One saw a problem, another one saw an opportunity. And the guy who saw an opportunity exploited it. And I think in Zambia, that's probably one of our biggest challenges. And I don't blame us, and I can't say it's just limited to Zambia. I think it's almost global, that we are brought up with a negative mind. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. By the time you are 7, you have had so many don'ts and very few do's. So our mind is capable of seeing the negative faster than seeing the positive. So
just like, you know, we are at a time, Professor,
correct,
when most of Zambians,
yes,
we have reclined,
yes,
to the fact that the economy is destroyed.
Exactly, and that is bad. And even to just see that there are challenges is one thing, but almost like nothing can be done about it, or that somebody else should do something about it. And yet, if I decide to do something alone, and there is, okay, we say we are 18 million, let's say 2 to 3 million people can do something. 2 to 3 million. I can do something, then you can do something, another one can do something. Before long, many of us are trying to do something in an informed way, in a systematic way, in a structured way. We drive an economy. Then all we will do is demand of government to have the right policies, to streamline and simplify regulation, so that it doesn't become roadblocks, because it can happen. Too many licenses, too many offices to visit. Like now, Smart Zambia, it's something. So go online and do ABCD. Pakra, you go online and you do things. So I don't have to get on a car to go to Pakra to register. I just go online. Those are the simplifications that we can demand of government to do more. But we, at our own level, we are doing something. This is what sets apart countries that move faster. It's because the people are already doing things. Then they demand of government to merely create an enabling environment where we can flourish. Absolutely. So what's the process, Pastor? Number one, I want to say our minds are made of two parts, or many parts, but two parts we are interested in. The left side, the right side. And there's a whole theory around that the right brain is for creativity. The right brain. So most artists use a lot of the right brain. That's where you get all these feelings, emotions, dreaming, anticipating, fantasizing. This is in the right brain. Then your logical brain, the left side, there are arguments against it, but it makes sense. Is where you have your mathematics, you have your logic, your reasoning, your numbers, etc., your science in the left brain. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, you need to engage your right brain a lot. That's because the other side relies on what is. So you are thinking in what is called the box. The right side thinks about what is not. So this is where God created the world in 6 days, and on the 7th day he ceased. But he didn't create a car. He didn't create a plane. He didn't create a bicycle. He gave us all the raw materials so that we can co-create.
Can you imagine that?
And now that's the right brain. This is why one young person asked, so we use 5% of our brain. So what happened to the 95%? Then someone said, well, Adam could use the 100%. That's why he could just say, this is an elephant, this is what. Yeah. Then when the man fell, that part was shut down. So, but this 5% can do a lot. There's still a lot of creativity there. We use very little of it. Entrepreneurship means going into the creative side and imagining and dreaming. This is where the vision is born. You begin to see what is not. You begin to see the impossible as possible. Now, for children of God, surely that's why I say we are the most guilty. Because now for us, we even taught about faith. We are taught about nothing is impossible with God. To whoever believes nothing is impossible. We even have all this.
Oh, Jehovah.
So dream big. When you dream big, you begin to use your creative mind. And when you go to sleep, ideas begin to come into your mind. And the only lesson there that I would say is, if in the middle of the night you get an idea, don't sleep, wake up and write it down. Because when you wake up, the idea will have disappeared. And that's because your random access memory doesn't really store things. If you don't act on it, it throws it into your unconscious mind, and you can't retrieve it.
You can't retrieve. It's like delete.
Exactly.
It's been deleted.
Deleted completely. Can't. At least delete, you might go to that delete bin and reclaim. But this one is when you go to the bin also and delete it. So it doesn't exist unless you are a computer engineer to go and dig there.
Yeah.
So you write it. And I encourage people, if you want to be an entrepreneur, learn to move around with an e-pad or a paper notepad and a pen. So you'll hear a lot of ideas being spoken by people. They just speak them and then they go away and forget. You take them down. And when something hits you, you are in a minibus, write it down. You will grow so fast.
You are saying, Professor,
yes,
it is important for a person to have a notebook.
Always.
Wherever you are going.
Always have a notebook and a pen. Or if you have an e-pad where you can type. Always. And when people are talking, don't just listen and go away. If someone says something really powerful, don't let it pass. Tell them, please, can you repeat that? And you write it down. Two things happen. They feel respected that you are taking down their idea. But for you, you have also carried something which 10 minutes later you'd have forgotten. Later on, you can go and implement.
Oh.
For me, when I'm writing a book, which is what taught me, always. I am writing all the time, and I pick stories. I wake up in the night, I'm writing. Sometimes I can hardly sleep because I keep waking up every minute. Here's how the right brain works, Pastor. When it gives you an idea, and you respond, the next idea will come sooner than the previous one. You respond again. The third idea will come even sooner until the ideas are coming like this. On the flip side, if you get an idea and you ignore it, the next one takes longer to come. If you ignore, the third one takes even longer until they stop coming. And for many of us, those creative ideas no longer come because we have ignored and disrespected our creative part in our mind.
You know, my wife is one person you have seen even when we are having a meeting.
Correct.
She's always writing.
Yes.
She likes taking things.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Now that does not mean I use the left brain.
You could be a lefty, Pastor. So what did I say?
Yeah.
Process.
Everything.
Process. Number one, have an idea. Use your right brain. Think. God gave us a right brain to think, to create, to picture a world that is not, to picture a future that hasn't happened. And then you work. Remember the subconscious mind also? Once you have pictured that mind with your creative side, the subconscious mind picks it and creates a GPS to that place. Suddenly, you'll have a certain book that you would never have looked at twice. Your mind is active towards that. You love listening to a certain person you ignored all these years. But suddenly you are like, you mean you have told me this before? I said, yes, many times. Then you wonder, why am I interested now? Suddenly you begin to drop certain friends and begin to gain other friends. Yeah, because now suddenly you are alive to something you had already always ignored. So we talk about a sleeping giant being awakened. And I said to people that all of us are giants inside, all of us, and I'm not speaking at a spiritual level in the sense that you all need to be born again. There is that. I mean, if we're talking about being born again, everybody watching us, I would say, please be born again first of all before you do anything, all right? Assuming you have done those important steps. But emeralds are underground, and people have to dig to find that emerald. All of us are. Separate yourself, become a giant, then you'll be able to help them also become giants. But if you remain among them, you just remain a dwarf, just like them. Yes. I mean, find people who are like-minded with you, and then pattern your life after them. But don't forget where you come from. Once you are great, go back and lift others. They can also become great like you. The Dangote phenomenon, if you like. Okay? So engage the right brain. The first step.
Just pause for a moment.
Yes, Pastor.
I want to encourage the people of Zambia, the government, the permanent secretaries, to buy this book by Professor Munkumba, the one I'm talking to here, Essential Management and Leadership Toolkit. This book is being used in universities as lessons for MBA students.
And a few presidents have it, by the way.
A few presidents
like Namibia, Uganda, places, yes.
So I encourage all of you who were born for greatness. You know that Zambia is a great nation.
Yes.
Professor, when I say to people with my wife that I was born for greatness, it's not a copied idea.
No, it's and paste.
No. I feel it, I live it. I may not have the money like Dangote, but I'm not inferior to Dangote.
No, you're creating a future.
I feel that I was born for greatness.
You're creating a future.
And so books like this, which every Zambian can buy.
Correct.
And you know, like you said, about copy and paste.
Yes.
When my wife and I had this dream of opening Camnet TV, we said to ourselves, Camnet TV should be a blessing to somebody. In whichever way. It's not just providing news. When we started, it was just music with my music, my wife and I and all this. And I remember, Professor, people saying to me, but Pastor Chua, why are you just the two of you on television? You don't invite others. We would not answer because you see, life is a journey. You don't just leave from here, you go to Chipata compound. If you are going to South Africa, it's a long distance.
Correct.
But the point is this, Professor. We wanted to create a television station that will be practical and meet the needs of the people.
Indeed.
Look at the things that you are offloading. If all of us, if all of us, instead of just watching songs, Dumbwiza, and all this, you are impacting knowledge. And I believe with all my heart, Dr. Munkumba, that Zambia, we should come together. And